This meeting I'm going to record for my friend Maria. And the reason I'm recording is we had a discussion about her father and her surgery, and I know it is a big concern. But if you understand a simple process called anti-aging, how to reverse the disease process, probably you'll have solution, right? So then you don't need to so much worry about the decisions your family makes or your father makes, but instead become a solution. So one of the thing we did was together because my friend was torn uh, with her decision on behalf of her dad. Her dad was asked to undergo surgery for, I think he had either aortic stenosis or some sort of a valve issue that prevents him from having a good ejection fraction. That's like kind of the gist of what I understood. And the problem was the family wanted the surgery and the surgeons wanted the surgery, but whereas her father is saying, I would rather age gracefully and let my body use its intelligence to do whatever it needs. And if I have to die, I want to slip into that space without having forced by surgical means. And I could understand where he's coming from. The issue was like each child wanted to make a decision, and I went with Maria to discuss, and it was so funny. This guy with the of Maria was saying, I loved it the way he said they're gonna put a pig valve in me. I'm going to develop a pig lips, and it was just hilarious. We had a very nice talk, but I'm gonna bring up this video, okay, so you guys would understand. The issue with aging is the mitochondria does not talk nucleus. Okay, so if you understand how to stimulate NAD, nucleoic acid, and they find by it reverses aging because it allows there's a separation that's taken place from mitochondria, which is the energy producer of the body, to the nucleus. So if we understand and reset that, they feel we would have cellular intelligence to heal. And I'm also going to bring up the product because the product was recently released to the market. So there are going to be two parts to this video so that you would understand why I'm bringing up this video. So you'll realize the science behind it and then the solution. Okay? So you will get both. And the science is NAD. You need to understand what is the logic. And my friend Maria is a nurse practitioner, so I'm going to gear this towards only healthcare practitioner, the topic. So some of the stuff I say might be way about some people's head, but that's the purpose, like I'm doing it specifically for one of my friends. So this is a talk, TED talk. You're going to listen, okay?
I believe that we're all only given one precious life. For those of us who are really lucky to be born, it's a life to be embraced, a life to be used for good, and a life that's worth prolonging in good health. Now, when we're all very young, we assume that our parents,
fast forward.
I don't want to be a downer, but this or something like his point to the audience and to me was, aging is natural. It's part of the way of life. In fact, it makes life worth living. What a load of bull. Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, these are natural, and we do everything we can to prevent and slow these diseases down. 99% of medical research is devoted to trying to slow down these diseases, which actually only a fraction of us actually get. Whereas aging, if we're lucky, affects all of us. So you might ask, well, why don't we just continue what we're doing? Why don't we just study individual diseases? That's what we've always done. It seems pretty good. But what you may not know is that the rate of aging is actually decreasing. What I mean by that is that we've developed many medicines that actually can treat part of our body, say our hearts. We're very good at keeping our hearts healthy, but our brains still age. Okay, so what we've ended up with are, just to use my grandmother as an example, a nation of elderly whose hearts are working well, for example, but their brains are no longer functioning. And this is a major problem for our healthcare system. It's extremely, extremely expensive. What we need are medicines that will keep all of our body's parts working at the same time. And if we just fix one part of our body, the problem is that some other part will break down. We're just switching out diseases. And I don't think this is the right way to go about it. If you look at this graph, actually, this really brings it home. Now, we're always taught that our medicines are making us healthier for longer. That's not true. Look at this graph. The amount of time that we are spending in good health is actually decreasing in terms of percentage. No wonder healthcare costs are going up. What we need to do, of course, is to keep us healthier for longer. So I'm not talking about living for 500 years. I see that sometimes quoted in the press. What I am talking about is an ability for us to live into our 90s and our 100s in a healthy way. Not like my grandmother, who suffers, and many of us will go through this unless we do something about the root cause of aging. And I would argue is the greatest problem of our time. Well, let me tell you about the work that I've been doing a little bit about how I think we can get at the root cause of aging. So when I was in my 20s, I earned a PhD in Sydney, and I headed off to Boston to a place called MIT to understand why yeast cells, little budding yeast that we use to make bread and beer, why they grow old. Because I figured if we couldn't figure this out for a yeast cell, we had no hope of understanding why we grow old. Fortunately, I did. And even though there were critics of this approach, there were even Nobel Prize winners who told me, this is not the way to go about aging. Yeast cells don't get gray hair, they don't get heart disease, they don't get cancer. But I ignored them, fortunately. I was quite naive, luckily. And in the next few years, what we discovered as a group was that yeast cells do in fact grow old. And one of the reasons is that their genes start to switch on as they get older. So what I mean by that is that every cell has a set number of genes. We all know that. In every one of your cells, same number of genes, but they're not all switched on at the same time. They need to be kept on and off, tell what type of cell is in the liver and what type of cell is in the brain. What we found was these yeast cells, as they got older, after about a week, all the genes started to come on and they died. Now we could find genes that could actually slow that process down. We could find genes that could switch off those rogue genes and silence them. And this led to a discovery of a longevity gene called SIR2. And SIR2 stands for Silent Information Regulator number 2. So in 1999, I started a new lab at Harvard Medical School. I was 29 and figured I could change the world. It was really exciting. We soon discovered that there are 7 of these longevity genes in our bodies. We call these the sirtuins. So the sirtuins have risen to scientific prominence. There's thousands of papers on these now. And what we've learned is that they seem to protect our body against diseases of aging. So for example, if you put extra copies of these genes into little nematode worms and flies and mice, they do a lot better. In fact, in most cases, they live longer in a healthy state. So what we need to do is to figure out ways to tweak these genes, to make them more active. And in that way, we might be able to delay all the diseases that we get as we get older, and possibly even reverse aging. So let me explain what the sirtuins do in our body. And I've been very fortunate that the TEDx people have helped me make some videos here. There's a new idea about aging, and that is that as we get older, genes are switched on and off in the wrong way. So when we're young, there's a beautiful symphony playing, but as we get older, the instruments, the orchestra starts to play willy-nilly and screw things up. So if we zoom into the cell, you'll see a chromosome, and if we stretch out the chromosome, that's the DNA all twirled up there in gray. The pink blobs are proteins called histones that the DNA is packaged in. Red means the gene is off. The problem during aging is that chemicals come in and stick to the histones and turn the genes on. So that's what the green lights mean. This gene that should be off in the brain of my grandmother is now coming on, and that's a terrible thing. If this gene will happen to be a gene that told the liver to be a liver cell, and now it's on in the brain, you can imagine the problem. And that's what we think may be a large part of what happens during aging. This leads to a really important possibility. We used to think that mutations, these irreversible changes to our DNA, are what cause aging. But in fact, if it's this what we call an epigenetic change, that's reversible. Let me show you how we can reverse it. These sirtuins, they actually make proteins that I'm going to show a cartoon of. It's going to look like a Pac-Man. And what the sirtuin proteins do in our body is that they clip off these chemical groups, see? And now the gene that was on in the old person, green, goes off again. And that's what the sirtuins are doing in our bodies right now. They're stimulated naturally when we don't eat, and when we exercise. And if we eat a large hamburger, we shut them down again. It's not good. So what we wanted to do was to find a way to turn the system on, find a molecule that could be taken in a little pill and turn on these sirtuin enzymes. And thereby we could clip off these chemical groups and keep these diseases of aging at bay and keep our whole body healthy. We might even one day, in theory, reverse aspects of aging. So as I said, I was in Boston and things were looking really interesting. I started a company that was based on the discovery that there were molecules that could activate these enzymes. The one 10 years ago that we found, which got a lot of media attention, was from red wine called resveratrol. And don't ask me to say that again, that's a hard word, resveratrol. And so resveratrol, as you probably heard, is in red wine. Now the problem with that is that you'd need to drink about 100 glasses of red wine a day. No, I don't recommend that. Don't do that. But what we clearly needed was a drug that would do this, something that's more effective, more potent than resveratrol. And this company, they raised a lot of money, and they set to find molecules that were even better than resveratrol. They found ones that were 100 times more potent than the red wine molecule. They put them into animals, and these animals, I'm talking about mice, they were much healthier. They didn't get heart disease. They were protected against Alzheimer's. They were protected against cancer. It was extremely exciting. They even started human trials, and the molecules appeared safe. And there were already hints, just little hints, that actually these molecules were working the same way as resveratrol was working to prevent these diseases of aging. So at that point, everything looked great. I thought the world is going to be different in my lifetime. You don't have to worry. This is going to all work out. And then the bottom fell out. What happened was, a few years ago, the world's largest pharmaceutical company put out a scientific paper that said that all of this science was wrong, dead wrong. That resveratrol did not work on these proteins. In fact, another group said that sirtuins have nothing to do with aging. It was a really depressing time of my life. I had emails from top scientists sending me condolences. The clinical trials were put on hold. I thought I'd let my lab down. I thought I'd let Australia down. I thought I'd let the whole world down. And there were days where I really just wanted to quit being a scientist. But the good news was, silver lining, was that it forced us in the lab to go back and really understand how did resveratrol and these other synthetic drugs actually work. So I pulled together a group of scientists, there were about 30 of us.
So that's the way he starts. But actually, I know it's kind of a long process to understand, but you need to understand So originally we started with serotonin, right? But actually it is NAD which is helping anti-aging, and it is David Sinclair again. Because if you follow his journey, you would see 2 years ago, okay, he has like tons of videos. So if you just follow his journey,
So my research is based on the idea that we can find ways to slow down diseases of aging, maybe even aging itself. And when I started doing this about 15 years ago, this was considered a crazy idea to find genes that actually control the aging process. But actually, now we know there are genes in our bodies. There are 7 of them that we work on called sirtuins. And these genes, we think, control the body's natural defenses against diseases and aging itself. And so the overall theme of my lab's research over at Harvard Medical School is to find ways to tap into our body's natural defenses and turn defenses against disease. And some of these are to choke the cell. And then there was a gene that was discovered that slowed down this process called SIR2. And that's what gave the name to this whole class of
this is another topic.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Ben Greenfield. And you've no doubt heard me talk about this molecule called nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide before. I know it's a freaking mouthful, but it is one of the most potent anti-aging molecules known to man. Your NAD to NADH ratios are directly indicative of exactly how healthy your mitochondria are and how well equipped your body is to defy longevity. Well, one of the best ways to naturally boost your body's own NAD levels is via the use of something called NR, which stands for nicotinamide riboside. Nicotinamide riboside. This would be something that you can take orally to enhance your body's own ability to produce NAD. Now, NAD has been shown to do everything from, like I mentioned earlier, enhance longevity, to increase your ability to be able to exercise at higher intensities. You'll see sleep improvements. You see better improvement in health overall when you boost NAD levels. Now, a lot of people might not be able to go out and do the type of things that I've talked about before in podcasts before. If you go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/NAD, for example, you can hear me talk to Tom and Goglia of the San Diego NAD injection clinic, where people are undergoing 4, 6, or 8-hour drip IVs with this NAD molecule. You can also do this via push IVs. They're very uncomfortable, they're very expensive, and they can be pretty time consuming. Now, the other way to go about doing this is something that I've also been doing for about 2 months to maintain my levels of NAD. And that would be the use of NR, nicotinamide riboside, which I referred to earlier. You can see this stuff is called True Niagen. True Niagen is one of the best ways to actually get NR into your body. Remember, NR gets converted into NAD, which has all the beneficial effects on longevity and mitochondria and health. So what I do is I take 2 to 4 capsules of this True Niagen each morning. And
I'm going to stop this. So, Maria, the reason I'm telling you this is not what I was focusing on. Remember the DHLA by PR Labs. So it's the best way to get your that cycle, NAD to NADH cycle reset. That's one thing. The second thing is cannabinoids, believe it or not, like It gives you the natural way to reset. There are music therapy you can do, which I think I've played it. It's called 528 hertz to reset, 5 to repair DNA. Let's see, DNA repair. And I think I posted that video. I'm going to see it actually go through each amino acid. I forgot which one was the one I chose that went through each amino acid. DNA. I remember step by step. Yeah, this is the one. It really helps you understand what codons it's doing. Like you could follow, like you could see, and I'm going to show you. And we can create beats for you, for your father, if you're interested. I'm going to train Ricky to do this one. And when we go over, I'll show you how it's coming up, like different protein, okay? So phenyl and alanine, leucine, right? So you could see leucine. I think it's the methyl. Yeah, I have to really go back and Valium, proline, threonine, alanine. And I have to like really understand all the 9 amino acids. I keep forgetting them. But you could see, right? Like it's resetting. So I'm gonna stop that. So if you understand that, you would know how it's resetting on the DNA, or rather the nucleotides, how it's resetting. So this is music repair. The third product that just recently I came across is called Basis. So I'm gonna go back, and this is what they're advertising right now to reset the increases NAD levels. But it doesn't matter what you use. If you understand the concept of why we are targeting NAD and how we are resetting it and introducing that as a remedy for your father, would allow him in addition, because if he's going to not do the surgery, to maximize his health and avoid fatigue. You understand? So that's the reason I wanted to record this video, because as I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to give you guys the knowledge you need to why you need to take the supplement. And these supplements are not even needed if you understand music or if you understand herbs. So both cannabinoids would work. My favorite is moringa, which has CBG in it, and we can reset it. B3 would work, nicotinic acid, because it takes away the bad sort of adrenal reset, which I am doing personally, ADHS, because it has gotukola and other herbs, ashwagandha. It has all those herbs, and I did my adrenal cleanse. If you see the change in my face, like you saw like last week how bloated I was because of the miracle grow and stuff, because I had to touch them to winterize my plants. Now, just 1 week of cleanse. I reset it, I boosted my thyroid levels, and already I I feel a change in my skin. The main thing you want to look for is the upper, like this area. If you gather fat, you you are aging. It's like a quick way to tell. So there are a million ways to reset, but the thing is, understanding what you need, is very important. And afterwards, also using remedies, whatever you want to use, that would be very important. So I hope this video would help you and ease your mind, saying you're doing everything you can for your father. Okay, I love you so much. I'm doing this for you.